Can you make it full screen, please? Thank you. Okay, then. Hello, everyone. Good evening, guys. Good evening. How are you all? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Nitesh, Lakshya, Nikul, Knowledge Katta, Animeverse, Rajeshwar. Good evening, guys. Good evening. Good evening. Am I audible, guys? Am I audible? Am I visible? Can you guys see me? Can you guys see my screen? Is it visible completely? Please tell me. Please quickly confirm that once. सर आप कैसे हैं और हमारे साथ कैसा लग रहा है? अरे बहुत बढ़िया, मुझे तो बहुत मजा आ रहा है आप लोग को पढ़ाने में पिछले 3 दिन से. गुड इवनिंग गाइस, गुड इवनिंग. Thank you so much, Tech Study. Thank you so much. Yes, Lakshya, yes. So today's aim, as I mentioned, right now we are done with almost all the basic concepts. So today's day is all about object orientation, right? Today we are going to be talking about completely about object orientation. So we'll talk about, what do you say, classes, objects, then we'll talk about access specifiers, polymorphism, and trust me, all that will be very easy. It sounds a lot, and I know it also sometimes takes a lot of time to learn, but we'll follow a way where all this will be easy for you. So you'll at least understand all the concepts of what exactly is object oriented programming and how it works. So don't worry, trust me, in the next 1.5 hours, 2 hours, we'll try to cover up all these concepts in a very simple and easy manner. Okay, guys, so everyone, are we ready? Are we excited and are we ready? And before that, guys, if you're new, please subscribe to the channel and help us grow. And also, please like the video and what else? Mark your attendance. The link is in the chat. Please mark your attendance later on. That's completely fine. So, guys, I hope we are ready and let's go. So, see, let me just quickly open a notepad to basically understand what we have done so far so that, we'll get an idea of how things are going. And also, sorry, really sorry for the delay today. Really, I basically had a power cut at my place. So that's why we had to wait for 15 minutes. So really sorry for that. Okay. So let's go. So see, guys, till now, let me just go ahead and remove all these things. Okay. So till now, what we have completed is, you can say, Java fundamental, that is introduction, that we have done. Then we have talked about variables. Then we have talked about loops. We have also talked about conditions. Yesterday we also talked about arrays, right? So we have seen all these basic concepts which are almost there in all the programming languages, right? Which is almost there in all the programming languages. Now today we'll dive a little more deeper. So today, first, what we are going to be doing is, we are going to be starting with a concept of functions. Very important concept, but very easy. So don't worry. Very important, very easy. And then we'll move ahead to something called as object. Then we'll move ahead to something called as classes. And then so on, access specifiers, polymorphism, all that will come. So don't worry about that at all. Okay. So then, let's go. Let's go, guys. Fine. So let me quickly today go ahead and remove all the code that we have done so far. Okay. So don't worry about those topics I mentioned. Just want you to revise it a little bit. So don't worry about that. Even if you forget what I wrote, it's completely fine. So let me quickly remove all this code that we have done so far, right? All the basics of code that we have done so far. Okay. So again, we are back to a very simple class and a very simple function inside it. That is the main function that we have mentioned. That is the only function which compiler runs. That's why each and every line of your code that you write, it should be in the main function. If it is outside main, it won't work. So today, guys, we'll actually go outside the main function. For all the new people, today we are actually going to go outside the main function. So first of all, as I mentioned, today's concept is first functions. So let's see what exactly is a function in any language. Again, guys, it is there in all the languages. So first, let's talk about what exactly is a function. So remember, guys, it's very easy. Definition wise, function is simply a block of code with some name. Now, when I say block in programming, this is what we call as a block. This is what you call as a block, or maybe just right here. This. Whenever you see curly braces like this is one block. That means in this case, this thing is one block. This is also one block. So this is the main functions block. This is main classes block. If I simply go ahead and I do this, right, A, so this is A's block. Just like we write like this, right? If, then curly braces. So this is if's block. So just wanted to let you know what is block so that you don't get confused. So block is anything which is in between curly braces. So curly brace start, curly brace end. That whole thing is a block. And if you write some code in that, that is what you call as, what do you say, a block of code. So if I just, if I just go ahead and if I just say, let's say, S out, hello, and then S out, hi, a lot of code. It can be any code, n number of code. Too much code, it's fine. But that is what we call as a block of code. So this is a block of code, right? Very easy, no big deal. Whatever, if you ever see curly braces, that's mostly a block. And whatever you write inside that, that's a block of code. Now, why are we talking about this? This all very easy things like block and everything. As I mentioned, the definition of function is a block of code which mostly has a name and it doesn't execute on its own. It doesn't execute on its own. A very important line, okay? Very, very important line. A block of code, what's camera? Okay. Is the camera not working? Sorry, let me just see. Is that fine now? Is it fine now? Am I visible? Let me see. I don't know what happened. Okay, I hope it's fine now. All good? Okay, cool. Chalo, let's move ahead then. Okay. Guys, don't worry about the certificates and all that. Right now, you will definitely get it. Please focus here. Okay, please focus here. Okay. So, a block of code which mostly has a name and it doesn't execute on its own. Now, let's try to understand all these statements one by one so it becomes easy for us on the spot. So, what I'm trying to say is, you create a block like this. You write some code like this. Hello, hi, something like this. And then you give this block a name like ABC. So this is what you can call a function. This is what you can call a function. But remember, guys, whenever you're creating a function, it's very important that after the name of the function, you have to put parenthesis or rounded brackets. That's when the compiler understands that it is a function. So now what we have done here is we have created a function with a name ABC and there is some code inside it. So block of code, yes, block of code. Mostly has a name, yes, there is a name. As I mentioned, it doesn't execute on its own. So yes, so this code is not gonna be executed. And one more thing, guys, now, just before we move ahead, see this? If you remove this public static void, what is this? This is also a block of code. This is also a name. So that means main is also a function because it's also a block of code with some name. So that is also a function. And you can never write, you should never ever write a function inside a function. So what we have to do is we have to take this function outside. You should never write a function inside a function. So this main is already a function, right? This main here is already a function. So what we can do is we can go outside the function and then we can create our function. And see now, it's all good, right? Now there are no errors at least. It's still red, but there's no error. Now, as I mentioned, guys, a function doesn't execute itself. But again, guys, in Java, this is not the best way to create a function. So what you need to do is you have to at least mention void. Now, for all the people who don't know void, I'll explain you. Don't worry. But now see, guys, now there is no error. So now Java considers this as a good function. That's why there is no error. But now let me show you. Whatever code I have written inside this, it will not execute. Let me just go ahead. As I mentioned, the last line, don't forget. Let me write some code inside main. I am main. And now if I execute this whole program, see, only I am main is working. This whole thing, this 2 lines of code is not working. Why? Because what did I say, guys? Whatever you write inside main, only that works. And this function is outside main, so this will never work. Is that clear? So then, how do we actually call this code? How do we actually run this code? So what we can do is, we can actually call this function inside main. That's what you have to do. You can create thousands of functions, but at the end you have to call those functions or use those functions inside main. Then only it will work. Otherwise, it won't work. So by using some way, and for now, guys, let me also just mention static here. Okay, just let me mention, don't worry about static as of now. Let me just mention static, just for some reason. Okay, and let me just go here now. Don't worry, I'll also explain static. And see, that's how you call a function. Write its name and the bracket. So now I'm calling this function. So what is happening here is, wherever I call this function, at the exact same place, whatever code that function has, that will execute. So basically, these two lines of code now will execute here. Let me just show you that. Let's write some line on top of it. Let's say we write start, and let's write some code below that, something like end. See now, guys, on top we have a code of line which prints start. On bottom we have a line of code which prints end, and in between I have called ABC. And I'm expecting that wherever I have written ABC, these two lines should execute. So hello and hi should be between start and end, and it will make sure that function is called properly. Let's see if it is working. Let's see. See, start, then hello and hi, and then end. So very simple, guys. A function is nothing but a block of code which you can write and keep it separately, and wherever you need, you can just call it. Wherever you need, you can just call it. I can also call it multiple times. See, if I call it twice, the code will execute twice. See, hello, hi, hello, hi. If I call it thrice, the code will execute thrice. See, guys, hello, hi, hello, hi, hello, hi. So what is the benefit of function? You can see here, you can write code once and you can use it anywhere at any time, and by just writing a simple calling. So if you ever feel that there is some lines of code, 10-20 lines of code, which you might want to use again and again here and there, so rather than writing that whole code again and again, write that code in a function and then just use the function wherever you need. You don't have to write the whole code again and again. That is the benefit of function. Reusability of code. Is that clear, guys? Make sense, everyone? Make sense? Please tell me. Does it make sense? And you can create n number of functions, guys, up to you. So if you ever feel that I'm writing some code which is getting repeated, so rather than repeating that code, write it separately in a block of code and then use the name wherever you need it. It makes your code look much more cleaner and easier. Is that clear, guys? Everyone? Are we understanding? Are we understanding the idea? What exactly is a function? So nothing, guys, no big deal. It's same. See, instead of calling ABC here, I can also write these two lines here. It will still do same thing. But what's the benefit? If I write these two lines here again and again 3 times, the code will look very big. It will look messy. And don't only think about these two lines. There are times when there are thousands of lines of code which you want to repeat. So you are not going to repeat that, right? You're not going to repeat that. What you're going to do is you're going to be just creating it once in a function, and then you can use it multiple times rather than writing that same code again and again. It will make sure that you save time, you save lines of code, your code looks pretty and good. So that's basically what functions do. Now, if I have to give a very simple idea again, just to, make it a little easier for you, think of it like this. Let's open this again. Just to again give you a very simple hint, think of it like this. Now let's talk about a little about the idea. So think of it like this. You are writing multiple lines of code, okay, 10, 20, 30 lines. There is multiple lines of code you have. Okay, boss, you have a lot of lines of code. And these 3 lines, okay, let me just take a pencil. These 3 lines of code, you are using it again and again. See, I might again have 3 lines, again. So that 3 lines you're using 4 times. See, think of it like this. You're repeating these 3 lines of code again and again. So, and you're getting a big program. Think of it like a big program, multiple lines, 10, 20, 30 lines. So, what you can do now, you can just take that 3 lines separately, give a name, and rather than writing that 3 lines again and again, just call the function everywhere. Becomes much more easier, right? Code looks small, pretty. That's what you do. Reusability. But that's not the limit. That's the main idea behind functions. Simple, guys, everyone. Okay. No, 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 no. You don't create nested functions here. Now, there are some ways by which you can achieve it, but normally you don't create that. No. So, guys, are we all cleared with the basic idea of function? Please tell me. Are we all cleared with the basic idea of a function? Mainly for code reusability. Now, let me show you one really, really cool thing. And also, guys, see, right now I have applied static here. Please don't worry. I'll tell you why I applied static there at the end. Okay. Now, let me show you something. Let's say in this function, I write a code like this. My name is Saurabh. Okay. That is my name. Okay. And then I'm calling ABC here. So, guys, at the place of ABC, what will be printed? My name is Saurabh. Correct? Okay. Let's call it. Okay, perfect. My name is Saurabh. Amazing. Very good. Now I plan to call it again. And now both the times it will print my name is Saurabh. Why? Because I have written my name is Saurabh inside the function and it's working. It is calling twice, it is working. But now what if I don't want to print Saurabh again and again? I want to change that name. So if I call it once, I want to put some other name. If I call it second time, I want to give some other name. If I call it third time, I want to put some other name. So while calling the function, what if you want to change some data? Because if I hard code something inside the code, inside the function, it will repeat again and again. What if I want to change this name? So yes, there is a way by which you can pass some dynamic data to the function. How? By using something called as parameters. Please focus, guys. This is possible everywhere. So what you can do is, inside the function parenthesis, in the rounded brackets, you can create variable like this. You can create a variable like this. But remember, guys, this variable is not like a normal variable. This variable is called as a function parameter. That means now, wherever you call this function, at that place, you have to provide a value for this variable. See, I'm getting an error here. What is it saying? Expected 1 arguments but found 0. That means it's saying, while calling ABC, it is expecting some value from you, but there is no value. So what you have to do is now, you can just go ahead and pass Saurabh. And here also, let's do it once first. So what will happen now? I'm calling ABC here, and I'm passing Saurabh, which will go in name. So you can see it's telling you it's going in name. That means it is going in this variable. And now you can use that variable here. So I can just go here, plus name. And see, so now I'm passing Saurabh. So it should print, see, my name is Saurabh. And if I pass, let's say here, Thor, something like that. So now I can pass whatever I want. So I can change that. So now this is not fixed. Whatever I was printing in the function, now that is not fixed. I can pass some data dynamically. That means now I can call it again and I can pass something else like Iron Man. And guys, see one more thing. This thing I'm not writing this. Okay, this is just a hint which IntelliJ is providing. So don't think I'm writing that. You don't have to write that. You just have to write the value. So if I pass Iron Man, so now I'm calling the exact same function twice. I'm reusing the exact same code twice, but I'm passing 2 different data. So it will print 2 different things. See, one time it is printing my name is Thor, other time it is printing my name is Iron Man. Is it cleared, guys? Everyone, are we cleared with the idea of parameters? Please tell me quickly. I know, Madhav V, 3 days not enough. I know, buddy. I know that. That's why we are only covering basics, right? Guys, are we all cleared with function parameters now? So, what are parameters, guys? What is a parameter? Variables that you create inside the function parenthesis. That is what you call as parameter. And the value that you pass is called as argument. Yes, a parameter can be anything. It can be a number, it can be a string, it's a variable. It can also be an array. It's completely fine. It can also be an array. It can also be an array. Yes. So for example, one more thing. Let's say I create one more parameter, integer age. One more thing, guys. If you're creating your parameters in a sequence, while passing value also, you have to follow the exact same sequence. That means, see, now I'm saying the first parameter will be a string, the second parameter will be an int. That means while passing the values, I have to follow string and int. I cannot do ulta here. I cannot do the reverse. I cannot do this. This is wrong. See, if I do this, it gives an error. That here it is expecting a string, you're giving an int, and here it is expecting an int and you're giving a string. So you have to follow the sequence. So in whatever sequence you put your parameters, you have to give values or arguments in the same sequence. Okay, just remember guys, arguments are nothing but values that you pass function parameters. That's all. Okay, so let's just put it correctly. And Thor's age is not 23 for sure. Let's put something around 1600. And maybe Tony Stark's age is 45, something like that, right? And now let's print the age as well. Let's use the age. Plus, and age is age. So my name is name and age is age, which is name is Saurabh and whatever, Thor, Iron Man, whatever it is. So here we go. See that? Everyone? Amazing, right? So now you can dynamically pass data to functions as well. And now it becomes a little more better, right? We can actually pass dynamic data. So I can create a function and I can use it n number of times. And all the times I can pass some different data. So guys, cool everyone? Understood the idea behind functions? The basic idea behind functions? Everyone please confirm that. Please confirm. Yes, yes, Adarsh. We'll also try to do that today. Don't worry, buddy. Don't worry. Are we cleared, guys? Please confirm that quickly. Everyone, all cleared with the basic idea of functions? Cool, right? All the new people who are new to Java, are you also understanding it? Okay, then that's great. Okay. And also, guys, see, as I'm mentioning right now, please completely ignore this static. Please just completely ignore this static here. Okay, completely ignore this static. Okay. Now then, I want to tell you one very important thing in the next 5 minutes about functions. Then we can directly move on to objects. Okay. Please, guys, ignore this static. At last, I'll tell you what is static. Don't worry. Trust me, today I'll tell you what is static. For now, just ignore this. I've just written it to save some time. That's all. Okay. One last thing about functions, very important things. See, now for that, let me do one thing. Let me remove one calling. Let me just keep one calling. Now, I want to show you what exactly happens when you call a function. So see, we know that compiler by default calls main function. Okay, that means the execution of the program starts inside the main function, right? Because compiler only knows about main function. So it directly starts executing main function and it comes inside. So it comes inside and executes the first line of code. Okay, perfect. Amazing. Then it executes the second line of code, which is ABC. And now compiler sees, oh, it is a function. So from there, the executor, whoever is executing, goes inside the ABC function. That means it comes here. Let me just see if I have that epic pen with me. So it will be a little easier for me to make you understand. No, thank you. Okay, let me just take this pen. It will help me to... Okay, so think of it like this, guys. Execution starts from here. First, this line gets executed. Perfectly fine. Then it comes to this line and it sees, oh, this is a function. So from here, it directly jumps in here and then executes this line of code. Now, the execution control is inside this function. But we know that on the top function, still there is some code left to get executed. So the execution control has to go back up to execute the remaining things. Getting my point, everyone? Are you understanding this, what I'm trying to say? First, this line executes, then it goes on this line. This is a function. So it goes in here, executes this. Now it has to go back up to execute the remaining things. There can be 10, 20 lines after that, right? So remember, guys, the execution control always comes inside a function, executes the code, and again goes back up to execute the remaining things. Or even if there are no remaining things, it will again go back up to the main. It will again go back up from where it came from, always. Okay? So the process is execute this. This is a function. So simply come here, execute this, and again go back and execute the remaining things, or just go back from where you came. That's all. Okay, so it always returns back. Now see, I'm not directly putting the concept in your head, I'm trying to break it down for you. Okay, I want you guys to understand this topic. That means from a function, the execution control always goes back. So if you want, it's like someone came to your room. Think of your room like a function. Someone came to your room and now he or she is going back. So while he is going back, you can say, okay, take this with you, take this bottle with you, take this cup with you. So what you can do is, you can, while they are going back, you can say, okay, if you're going back, do one thing, take this two with you, take this two with you, like this. You can say, take this two with you. So while going back, it will take this two and go back there. But here you can see that's an error. It's an error. So what does error means? It is saying cannot return a value from a method with void. So if you are planning to give some data back to the function or while returning, you have to mention the return type of the data. So what is the return type? What is the type of this data? Int. So you have to mention int like this here. And see, now it's fine. So initially I mentioned that inside this function, I am going to return an int. So you can mention return 2. So now what will happen? This line executes. This line execute. It comes here, executes this. And then while going back, it takes 2 with it. And now how can I get it here? So remember, guys, whatever a function is returning, that value is always available wherever the function is called. So this function call, I can store it in a variable like integer a. So this function is getting called. It will do its job normally, but whatever you're returning from the function, this will return that, and I can store it in a. Simple. So I can just go ahead and also print a. I got this from the function. So I got a. So we know that it's gonna get 2. So see, I got 2 from the function. So getting the point, guys, what's happening here? Are you getting the point? Are you getting the point? So wherever, if a function is returning some value, so wherever you call the function, at the exact same place, you're getting that value. So either you can directly print it or you can store it in a variable and then use it afterwards. Up to you. And if you're saying that, no, I don't want to return anything, so in that case, you mention void. That means, no, I am not going to return any value. That's why you mention void. And then you have to just ignore this whole thing. You cannot return anything then. So now you can't return anything because you have mentioned I'm returning void. That means nothing. I'm not returning anything. So guys, if you want, you can return any kind of data. You can mention float here. You can mention boolean. You can mention array, whatever you want, and you can, then you have to return that properly. So if you ever plan to return some data from a function, you have to then properly, you have to mention the type of that data that you're returning. That's why it's called as a return type. And you can see, right, in here also you have void. See that? In here also you have void. Is that clear, guys? Please, guys, don't worry about the certificate. I can see a lot of people just struggling about certificate. You will definitely get it. Please understand all these things, that they are very important. So I'm not blindly putting return statement in your mind. I tried to explain you what exactly happens behind the scenes in return. So everyone, are we cleared then? Please confirm that quickly. Are we cleared with what is return? So you can return whatever you want from a function. That means, see, execution control always returns back. But while it is going back, you can give some data to it. So either you return empty, then you have to mention void, or you can return some data if you want. Up to you, up to your need. It always returns empty. It always returns empty. That's why you mention void. Void means empty. But if you want, you can return some data as well and use it. Okay, so guys, that is pretty much all about functions. So see, so now I hope, guys, if you ignore this public static, now you understand what is this void and what is this main, right? Void is the return type of this function, main function. That means main is not going to return anything. That's why void. And now you also know this, right? This is nothing but a parameter. That means whoever calls main, they have to send the value for this. And the best part is we are not calling main. Main is called by the compiler. Main is called by the compiler. So we don't have to worry about it. So guys, are we cleared with this function? Now you're done with, now you're, now you only have static and public to understand here, but don't worry. I'll also explain that in some time. Just ignore that for now. We'll just come to everything step by step. So guys, are we cleared? सर स्प्रिंग फ्रेमवर्क भी करवा दो. डेफिनेटली यार, आगे अगर प्लान हो तो जरूर करेंगे, मजा आएगा स्प्रिंग और स्प्रिंग बूट में, बहुत मजा आएगा. Okay guys, then ready for object orientation then, because again we, as you know, now you might have seen, I never go to the topic directly. We'll again try to understand, think about a problem, and then we'll understand object orientation. Then you'll actually understand why do we actually have object orientation. We'll figure out a problem and then we'll find out the solution, and we'll see how object orientation helps there. My name is also Saurabh. Amazing. Nice to meet you, Saurabh. Okay, guys, then let's move ahead. So for now, guys, let me remove this function because now we don't need it. And now you know how to create a function, right? So again, back to normal. Back to normal. So now, guys, let's go. And let's talk about one very, very important thing behind the name of the paradigm, which is object-oriented programming, or OOP, which is nothing but a paradigm, a way of writing program. It's nothing, guys. Object-oriented programming is nothing but a way of writing programs. But what exactly is the meaning of object orientation? So the main what do you say, element there is object. That is what we need to understand first, and then after that everything will be cleared. So forget about everything now. Forget about OOP. Forget about everything. Let's focus on this now. So what is an object? And guys, this object thing is almost there in every language. Even if that language is not object oriented, object concept is still there. So object came before object orientation. That's why focus, because everything starts from here. So let's say guys, you have some data. Okay, again guys, forget about everything, just normal focus. Let's say you have some data like this. Let's say I am planning to maintain detail of students. Think of it like this. I am planning to maintain, okay, or also let's not do it here. Let's do it on the notepad for now. I am planning to maintain detail of students. Okay, so I can just do this, right? Let's say students can have name, students can have age, and students can have city. 3 things. Think of it like this. So I go ahead and create a variable called as name, string name. And let's say I put one student here. Let's say I put myself, Saurabh, one student, Saurabh's age. So let's say string age 28. Okay. And then Saurabh's city. Let's say Mumbai. Okay, fine. Amazing. So I utilized 3 variables to store my data. And that's good. Okay, guys, just for information, let me ask you, can we use array to store these 3 data? Let's see how many of you answer. Can we use array? Yesterday we learned arrays. So what do you think? Instead of creating 3 variables, can I store this 3 data in array? Yes or no? Let's see if you can answer. Till that time, I'll just have some water. Oh, sorry, I forgot. No string, no string. Sorry. My bad. Sorry. Really sorry. Okay. Chalo. Now tell me. Sorry. I forgot. I just by mistakenly put string there. Okay. So it's a no. Some of you saying yes, it should be a no. What did we learn about array? Arrays of collection of data of same type. First of all, same type. You can see here, two of them are string and one is int. So according to the type logic, you can't store it. Secondly, remember, I also mentioned one more thing. Don't only think about the type, also think about the category. Don't only think about the type. All these three are different category. One is name, one is city, one is age. Array should be collection of elements of same type as well as same category. That should be the most important use case. Now, if sometimes required, people do things ulta pulta, but it's very important to understand that it should also be of same category. Like, it can be array of animal names, so it can be array of names, it can be array of cities, but it should never be array of name, age and city together. Doesn't look good. Even if age was string, then it is possible to store name, age and city in array, but it's not good logically, because all three are different category altogether, right? So remember that while focusing or creating an array, remember, same type is important, but at the same time, same category is also important for arrays. Okay, remember this. Okay, because this will help you in future when you learn data structures, when you work with real data. Don't always think about the type. That is important on low level, but on high level it should be category as well. You have to think of it, but again, forget about that now. So first of all, arrays, we can't use array here. That's completely fine. Okay, so now I know that to handle a data of one student, I'm using three variables. Amazing, very good, perfectly fine. That means now if I want to create one more student, I have to create three more variables like this, string, and I cannot use the same name because we cannot have two variables with the same name. So I have to give name one, and then let's say, tech study, or let's have some good name, Amit, right? And then we can have integer, and again I cannot call it age, I have to call it age one or some other name of the variable. So let's say 34 again. Don't mind, guys, don't mind, I don't know the ages, I'm putting random ages. And then string city, let's say Indore, something like that. So now, okay, fine, now one more student, but you can see the problems right away. Naming convention is going bad. I'm naming my variables like name one, age city one. In future, if I have 10 students, just imagine the variable names. If I have 20 students, just imagine the variable names. And just imagine the mess. How many variables will be creating to handle all those students? Your program will be full of variables, right? That is not good. Even though it will work, but that is not good way of maintaining your data. That is the biggest problem here. We are unable to maintain a very good structure of data. It's just going bad. It's just random variables with illogical names. Name one, because at some point you'll run out of names, right? You'll run out of names at some point. Name one, name two, name three. You can't go name 100, name 101. That will be very weird. So this was the problem people faced at some point of time. So they came up to a solution that what we can do is, let's create something where we can store collection of data of different types as well. What was an array? Collection of data of same type. But here we know that these are all different types. So let's create something where we can store data of different types as a representation of something. What I mean here is something like this. Let's say create a variable called as, let's say, student, then a block, and then inside this I can go string name, Saurabh, int age 28, and again string city, you want whatever you want, let's say Mumbai. So now you can see this is a collection of data of different types, but they are representing something. They all are related to each other. That means this is Saurabh, this is Saurabh's age, this is Saurabh's city. They are all related together. They are all related together. They are representing a student. And just like that, now I can have one more student. So somewhere I have to compromise on the name, but now the naming convention of my data can look same because they are two different blocks. They are two different blocks. So I don't have to worry about naming convention. Here also I can name it as name. Here also I can name it as name. So here now, because see, it will not cause an error because it's a different block of code. It's a different block of code, and different blocks can have same variable names. Okay. So here Amit, let's say 29, and let's say Indore. So this is not an array. Remember that this is collection of data of different types, but all those data are related to each other. Exactly, are interconnected. So they are uniquely representing something. They both are now representing a student data. It's a representation of data. Is that clear, guys? And this is what you can call as an object. An object is nothing but collection of properties which represents something. That's the definition. An object is nothing but collection of properties which represents something. Like me, I am also an object. I am a collection of properties and I represent human. Right? This is a collection of properties. There is cap, there is a container. These are all its properties. There is some water in it. So this is a water bottle. And as human being, we also identify everything around us by its properties. Like, how do you know this is a cup? How do you know this is a cup? Because of its properties. Getting my point? So you know about everything in this world because of its properties. So a collection of properties which makes something or which represents something, that is what you call as object in reality. Yes, we'll also talk about, don't go on the bookish definitions, buddy. We'll also talk about behaviors. Don't worry. We'll also talk about that. But guys, is the first idea cleared of what is an object? Are we cleared with what is an object? Guys, everyone, please confirm that real quick. Are we cleared? First of all, confirm that. So anything and everything in this world is an object. This is one student object. This is second student object. I am one human object. You are one human object. You all are one human object because you have properties and you represent one single entity. Simple idea, guys. So you don't have to worry about that car example or bike example. Just remember this. That's how easy it is to understand object. Cleared, guys? And that's why we are going ulta. We are not learning classes first and object later. That's why we learned object first, because this came first. Classes came later. Objects came first. Is that clear, guys? All set? Everything in this world is an object. This is one student object. This is second student object in terms of data. Okay, cool then. Amazing. Now, let's dive more into this. So this is one object because they are all interconnected properties. They are all related to one single entity. That is one student. So now, when we go a little more deeper in the programming, so we also want to use these properties. When we go a little deeper in programming, we also want to use these properties. So what we can do is we can create functions here. So you can also create functions inside objects. You can also create functions. Objects can also have functions. So let's say void print data, something like this. Okay, something like this. And then you can print all these things. So I'm just printing one thing. You can print multiple things, guys. So I'm just writing s out. You can also write system.out.println, up to you. So I'm just printing name. We cannot print like this. Just understand, guys, this is an example. Okay, name, age, and city. I print all the three. And just like that, I can have one function for this. So every object will have its own function. Definitely. Every object will have its own function. Definitely. So now this is a proper object. It has all the properties and one function to perform something, to print something. It also has all the properties and one function to perform something. So see, guys, in real world, we call it property. But in programming, properties are nothing but what? Variables which store data. In reality, we have properties and behaviors. Like, see, with the help of my properties, I became a human. And I have behaviors like talking, moving my hand, watching. So Functions are nothing but behaviors of object. These are the properties which have the data, which signify what the object is, and this is the behavior, what the object can do. What are the things that object can do? Like, see, I can do this, I can do this. These are all my functions. Just like that, this is also the function of the object. So that's why we can also call this a behavior. So in real world, we call it behavior. In programming, we call it a function. Simple. So guys, if I'm an object, what I have is my properties, and what I do is my behavior. Similarly, what this object has, it is properties. The data of the object is properties, and what it can do is the behavior or the function. Now it makes sense. So now the definition becomes, a object is nothing but a bunch of properties and functions which work together, which represent something, an entity, a single entity, an n number of objects. So all objects will have the same thing if they're of same type, definitely, right? Because if I'm a human object and someone else is also a human object, they will have the exact same property. If they have some other properties, like they have one horn or they have one tail, then they are different. Then they are not human. Getting my point? Something like that. So if they have different properties and different behaviors, then they are not human, obviously. So both of them are objects. Both of them have exact same properties and exact same behavior. Make sense, everyone? So that's what an object is. Object is a collection of properties and behaviors. In programming world, it is collection of variables and functions. That's all. That's how easy it is to understand objects. Now you never have to worry about objects. If you remember this, you never have to worry about objects. Please, from now on, if anyone asks you what is an object, never give an answer about it is an instance of a class. Give a good answer. Everyone knows it is an instance of a class if you come from a programming background. Give a good answer. Explain them what is an object in 2 lines properly, like this. Okay? No, right now don't go. No. Right now we don't have class. No. Don't go. Moti, wait for 5 minutes. You'll also understand class. Wait for 5 minutes. Please, guys. Don't go to any conclusion right now. Wait for 5 minutes. I'll also explain you class. So, guys, are we all cleared? Let's move ahead. So, this is what an object is. But now, there was one problem. While coding, so see, by this we solved few problems. The initial problem was maintaining the variables was getting tough. So now we have different blocks to maintain the variables. So now maintaining the variables is easy. Also, there was the naming convention was going off. When we had 30-40 variables for handling 30 students, in that case, we had to give name like name 1, name 2. So there were two main problems in normal variables, right? What was that? Naming convention. And what was the second one? Too many variables. And we were unable to maintain a structure. Here, we are able to maintain a good structure, and we are able to maintain the naming convention as well. So those things are solved. But now we have a new problem. And the new problem is the code is getting too large. We are writing the exact same thing multiple times. I am literally writing the exact same thing multiple times. Because both of them are same object. This is also a student. This is also a student. The only thing that they have different is this data. Can you see that, guys? Programmatically, the only thing that is different is the data. Yes or no, guys? Everything else is same. Yes or no? Please tell me. Everything else is same. The only thing that is different here is the data. Same thing, right? If I'm also an object and someone else is an object, correct? So if I'm a human object and let's say my friend is also a human object, we both are humans. We both have exact same properties, but the properties value might be different. For example, my height is 5.11. My friend's height is 6.4. So same properties, height, but different values. So different data. Black eyes, blue eyes, same property, different value. Long hair, short hair, same property, different value. Similarly, same property, but different value. So only thing that is changed here is different, the values. So the programmers figured out how can we solve it. See, because if I'm planning to create 10 objects, I still have to write 10 times this code, which is again a bad thing. How can I solve it coding wise? So what they said, now we can see a pattern that here, everything is same, only the data is different. So why can't we do this? Let's go And let's create a structure or an idea or a concept of how the object will look like. Just only this, not the object. Just let's create a concept of how an object will look like without its data. So what they did is they created a blueprint and they named it a class. And let's give it a name like student. And they just mentioned, don't give values to this. Just mention what a student can have. So it can have a name. It can have, sorry again, my bad, an age. And it can have, what do you say? What was the last thing? City. Okay, amazing. And it can also have a behavior. So void print data. It can have a function which will simply print all the properties. S out, name, age, city. Perfect. But now, guys, this is not an object. They are calling it a class. That means they're saying this will never work. This will never do anything for you. This is just an idea of what an object will look like. So now, instead of writing this much to create an object, you just have to do this. Just go ahead, and while creating the object, just mention that, okay, student 1 is going to be an object. Just tell the student 1 that you are going to be following this class, this idea. So to do that, coding wise, just mention student in front of it. That's all. So by this student 1 will get all the features which is mentioned in student. That means internally the student 1 will get a name, will get an age, will get a city, will get a function. But we don't have to write it anywhere. It will get it automatically internally. All the things are there now. That means all these things are already with student 1, but we are not writing it. I can also go student 2. This also got everything. And its own. That means student 1 will get its own name. Student 2 will get its own name. Student 1 will get its own age. Student 2 will get its own age. They will all get their own version of properties and functions. It is not going to repeat. But now technically coding wise, you're writing it only once. And they're all getting all the things. So now you don't no longer have to write this big thing again and again. You just have to do this. Write the idea once and utilize it a number of times. Internally, guys, remember, internally, they all are getting name, age, city, and the function. They are all getting the same thing. They are getting it, but we don't have to write it. We don't have to see it. It's there. It is just there. They are all getting their own version. This will get its own name. Name, age, city, and the function. And if student 1 decides that my name will be Saurabh, it doesn't matter. Student 2's name is still empty. Because student 1 did changes in its own name. It doesn't matter to student 2. Even though you're not going to write it, it will look the same, but they will all get their own versions. And guys, that is why classes were created. That means we normally think that classes came first and then objects came, because normally we create an object based on a class. But no, objects came first. And to solve the problem of rewriting the code and maintaining the objects properly, classes got created. And now we create objects based on classes so that objects know that this is how I will look like. Is that clear, guys? So that's a class and that's an object. Understood, everyone? I hope now, from now on, you don't have to worry about class and object. So class is simply an idea. So object, that is why object, we call it a real-time entity. And class, we call it a conceptual entity, because it's just a concept. It doesn't do anything. Object is the real deal. So object is a real-time entity. Class is a conceptual entity. Class is just a blueprint. It's just in your brain. It's not there in reality. Is that clear to everyone? So I hope it's understood. Tell me, everyone, all of you, 150 people watching. Hopefully you understood class and object, and I just hope that from now on you will never forget what's a class and what's an object, and you will be able to explain it in a much better way to other people now. Hopefully. Guys, please confirm that real quick so that we can move ahead. Okay. Amazing. Cool. Now then, let's see this in action, everyone. Let's see this in action then. Let's go. So now, as I mentioned, Java is by default almost 100% pure object oriented language. That is why everything here happens in a class. That is why you, even to write a simple main function, you had to use a class. That is the reason you had to use a class. But again, let's keep this class simple and clean. Let's not do anything here. So for our things, let's create a separate class. So now I'm planning that in my program, I want to maintain students. So I want to create student objects. And to create student objects, we need a student class. So let's go. Right click on SRC. New. See here we have option Java class. What do we want to call it? Student. And now guys, remember, you have to always follow naming convention. Always name your classes with capital letters, starting from cap letter. Very important. Okay, very important. So student, and the file name will be automatically become student. As I mentioned, you have to follow your class name and your file name should be same. But if you're using IntelliJ, it will automatically happen. So I'm saying I want to create a class called student and it will create a file for me. See, student.java, and we have a class. Is that clear, guys? So now in my whole project, I have two classes. One is the main class, one is the student class. Main class is the one which is holding my function, and it's fine. Let it be there. Remember, in one project, there should be only one main function. You can have multiple main functions, but that's no good thing. You should only have one main function in the whole project. So guys, now we have a class. And now let's tell this class. Let's ask this class, if I create objects based on you, what will they have? So guys, also remember, now from now on, if someone asks you what's an object, please tell them object is a collection of properties and methods. And class is just a blueprint where you write those things, those properties and methods, but they actually belong to object. Please, you should give a good answer. But again, let's go. So I'm saying a student should always have a name, no values, okay? Name, an age, and a city. And they should have a function. So void print data. Okay. And okay, also let's do one thing. Let's do one thing, guys. What can we do here? I'm thinking of some okay, fine. Let's say here I'm not going to take age. Let's say I'm taking birth here. Some reason behind it. Some reason behind it. Please focus. So birth here. Let's say 95, 96, whatever they pass. Okay. And here I'm just printing all the things. So S out. Name is name. S out. Sorry again. Age is age. Oh, sorry. Now we don't have age. Sorry. Really sorry. Birth here. And here let's mention birth here. The reason I am having birth here is because I want to show you something important. Again, just trying to create a problem so that we solve it and you understand the use of some really important thing. Okay. So yeah. S out. City is city. So now guys, we have a blueprint of the object ready. Now I'm saying that every student object will have a name, will have a birth year, and will have a function or a method which will print all these things. Remember, Bhuvan, you can call it a function, you can call it a method. It's completely fine. Normally, I'll tell you my technique. If a function is returning something, I call it a function. If it is void, I normally call it a method. But again, this is not a big thing to have in mind. This is simply something you can ignore. You can call it a method, you can call it a function. It's completely fine. But normally what I do is, if a function is returning something, I call it a function. If it is a void function, I call it a method. Usually, if it is inside a class, I go with a method name. But that's completely fine. You can ignore this. These are just terms. That's all. Okay. So guys, everyone, are we done with this? We have a class. Now then, let's create our first object. So now let me show you how to create object of this class, because this is just a blueprint. We don't have anything in reality. So now we'll create the object in the main function, because as I said, no matter what you write anywhere, you can have tens, thousands of files here and there. You can have thousands of functions here and there. But at the end, everything should be done inside main, then only it will work. So I'm going to be creating the object inside the main class. So how do we create object in Java? So first, as I mentioned, name of the class, student, then name of the object, let's call it student1. Then also, guys, you have to make sure, remember guys, in programming, if anything doesn't have memory, it doesn't work. In programming, if anything doesn't have memory, it doesn't work. So normally, guys, when you create a variable like integer a equals 2, Java knows how to allot a memory to this. Java knows how to allot a memory to this because it is a primitive type. Java knows about it. Here, when I create an object like this, if I create an object like this, Java doesn't know how to allot a memory because it is not a primitive type. It's a custom type. I have created this. So Java doesn't know how to allot a memory to this. And if something doesn't have memory, it won't work. That's why to your object, you have to assign memory explicitly. That means on your own. So to do that, you have to use a new keyword. New keyword, almost in each and every language, is used to allocate memory. Not allow, allocate memory. That's all. And at the end, you have to use the class name as a function, which is called as a constructor, which we'll learn later on. Don't worry. So guys, this is how you create an object. That means now student1 is actually an object. Internally, it has all these properties and all this function, its own properties and functions. To access it, you can just do student1 dot. See, you get all things: birth year, city, name, print data, everything. Is that clear, guys? You get everything here. Are you getting my point? But right now, if I just go ahead and print this student1 dot name, will it print anything? No. Why? Because we know that student1 has name. But have we given any value to it? Obviously no. So it will print null. So before printing, let's say student1, I know that you have a name property, but I want to give some value to it. So let me give Saurabh. So to student1's name property, I assigned the value of Saurabh. And then if I'm printing it, if I run this program, see, it is printing Saurabh. Now let's do one thing. Instead of printing on our own, let's say student1, I know that you also have a function with you. Let me call that function. Why? Because that function is printing your name. So I accessed your name. I gave that a value. So now if I call your function, which is print data, I know that this will print your name. And your name is Saurabh. So this should print your name. Let's see. And here we go. See, name is Saurabh. But birth year is 0 and city is null because I didn't pass any value to it. That is why. So let's go. Also give value to student1's birth year equals, what do you call? Let's say my birth year, 95. I'll just give here. And student1 dot city equals Mumbai. So now then, to student1, I said, I know that you have 3 properties. To all your 3 properties, I'm giving some value. And then I'm calling your function print data, which I know just prints your properties. So now this will simply print all these 3 properties and we should get all the data. Saurabh, 95, city is Mumbai. And just like that now, if I want, I can create one more object, student2. And that can have its own everything, right? So 2002. And let's say Indore. Remember, guys, student1 is having its own name, own birth year, own city, own function. Student2 is having own. Even though they look same, they are all their own properties. They are not connected at all. At all. They are not connected at all. Is that cleared, everyone? Are we all cleared? So if I print, both will print their own data. See? Saurabh's data, Amit's data. Cleared, guys? Everyone, are we cleared? Please tell me. Are we all cleared? Can you please confirm that real quick? Are we all cleared? Can you show me how it works while giving user input? Yes. We can do that. Yes. But first, let's try to complete the important concept. Then we can definitely do it. You can actually use a scanner here. It's very easy. You can just use a scanner here. Okay. Okay, guys, everyone, all set. Now let me show you something else as well. Now let's say instead of birth here, I want to print the age of that person. Okay, listen to me very carefully, guys. Instead of printing the birth here, I want to print the age of that guy. So what can I do? What can I do? We know to print the age, we can simply go birth here. Sorry, yeah, birth here minus, sorry, current year minus birth year, right? So what is the current year? 2025. That's it. This will simply print the age of that guy, right? That's the formula to get your age. Current year minus your birth year. That's how we get age. So if I print, see, Saurabh's age is 30 and Amit's age is 23. Getting the point, guys, everyone? Now what I want is, I'm thinking, no, yeah, this is not good. This is not good. I'm not liking this. You know, performing calculation in print. Because what is the name of this functionality? Print data. So the job of this should be only to print data, not to perform calculation. So I'm planning that I will go and create a separate function. I will create a separate function called as calculate age inside the same class. Focus, guys. I'm teaching you something very important. Please focus. And I'm saying that no. I'm not going to calculate it here. Now I have birth here. Okay. So what I can do is I can perform the calculation here. So I can say you calculate here. Your job is to return. Now again, guys, I'm not saying this is mandatory. There is a reason I'm showing you this. So I'm saying calculate age. Your job is to calculate the age. So calculate the age and return the value. So it will return. So now, guys, what do we know? If I call calculate age anywhere, it will simply return 2025 minus birth year of that particular object. So student 1's age, sorry, student 1's birth year or student 2's birth year. Correct? And instead of, I can now just go ahead and call calculate age here. That's it. So you can call the function inside other function easily, completely fine, directly. No need to worry about anything. Directly you can call. See, if you're planning to call a function outside the class, you have to use the object dot function call. If you're calling a function inside the class where it is created, you can directly call it. It's completely fine. Just from coding point of perspective. Okay. Yes, for now it is limited. For now, codes is limited. Normally what you can do is you can fetch the system year, current year from internet or from your system, from your computer as well. Right now I'm keeping it simple, but yeah, to make it real, you have to fetch the system year, the year from your computer. You can do that. It's very easy. So guys, getting my point, everyone? So if you're planning to access a function of a class outside, you definitely have to access it via the object, because outside you only have object. But inside the class, you can access a function directly without any worry inside some other function. Okay. Now, this looks very cool. And see, guys, I'm passing calculate age here because I know that calculate age is returning something. So as I said, wherever you call the function, at the exact same place, it will return this data and it should print the age. Simple. So I just separated it. Okay. And now see, guys, age is getting calculated. Perfect, right, everyone? Perfect. Right, guys? But now, first of all, tell me, have you understood this? Have you understood this, everyone? Have you understood this? Please, please, please confirm that. Guys, can you please confirm that quickly? Are we able to understand everything till now? The syntax, the code, the idea behind what's going on and all that stuff? Perfectly fine. Okay, amazing. Now then, let me show you something. Okay. Now, now, technically, there is a little problem in our code. There is a little problem in our code. And the problem is something like this. What if I create a variable? Okay. So I simply create a variable, right? Let's say I create a variable, or let's go with this only. Or let's do one thing. Okay, let's create a variable called as string sorry, not string, integer current year. Okay, and then I pass 2025 here. And now instead of hard coding 2025 here, I can use my current year variable, which is the exact same thing. No big deal, right? It's the same thing. It is the same thing. Current year 25, perfect. It will still do the same thing. It will still do the same thing. I just stored the 25 which I was hard coding in a variable. Perfect. All good. Amazing. Now it will still work. Everything will still work. But there is a big problem lying around. And the big problem is, and also guys, let me remove one object. Let's only work with one for now for testing everything properly. So it is still working, but now we have a very big problem in front of us. That is, if someone has access to the main function, so either knowingly or accidentally or because of some programming issues, anyone can change the current year. How? Because this is also property of the object. This is also property of the object. Yes or no, guys? Everyone, please tell me. This is also property of the object, right? Correct, everyone. So problem is, anyone can access it and change it. So I can go ahead and I can say current year is 2028, something like that. That means anyone has access to all my variables outside the class. I have variables inside my class, but wherever I create objects, anyone can easily access my properties and change it. And see, now my age is 33. Even though internally I have fixed the current year as 2025, outside people can change it. And it's a very big problem. That means if I create variables in my class, other people are utilizing the class, they can easily change my variables. No, it will not fix. So yeah, constant will fix, but still people can access it, right? People can still access it. They can see it at least. Getting my point, guys? They can see it. Even though I make it constant, so they can't change it, but they can see it. What if I want to completely stop the access? No, no one should be able to see what I'm doing inside my class. So for that, guys, you can use now the next concept is the concept of access specifiers or access modifiers, by which you tell the class that which of your things can be accessed outside the class or inside the class. By default in Java, all of them have a default access specifier. You don't have to write it because it's already there. So default means these things will be available in the whole package. Then you can also make it public. This means this will be accessible in the whole project. So technically, it was almost public till now, almost public. But no, I don't want it to be accessible. I want the name, birth year, city to be accessible, but not the current year. So I can make it private. And now see, here, error. Current year has private access. So see, we created a problem to understand when to use private. So whenever you feel like that there is something which I don't want people to access outside the class, just make it private. That's the actual reason behind private. Is that clear, guys? So now no one can access it or change it. It's just internal to the class. No one can do anything now. Is that clear, guys? Everyone? Understood? Understood, guys. Okay. So this is one thing. This is also what you call as data hiding. Guys, this concept is what you call as data hiding. You might have heard of it. If you have ever learned object orientation, you might have heard of it. Data hiding. So this concept is also called as data hiding. Now, next thing. Now, this is a good solution, but this also comes with a problem. What if I at least want people to see it, not to change it, but at least they should see it. So I want people outside my class to at least see what is the current year, but I don't want them to change it. But if I make it private, no one can see it, no one can change it. I at least want people to see it. So what I can do is I can create a function. Okay, and you can name this function anything, but normally we always name this function something really good so that people can understand what it is. So something like this: public, what is the type of current year? int. So you want to return that. So that's why int. Okay. Again, guys, you can also make your function. See, again, to these functions also, I have not given any access specifier. That means they're also default. They will be available in the whole package. That's default. If you don't apply anything, guys, internally Java applies default. This one. But if you want, you can also make them public. I want this function to be accessible anywhere with the object. All good. Same with this, guys. Think of it like this. Do you want people to use calculate age function outside? No. I want to only use this inside the class. So you can also make this function private so that no one else can use it outside. So think, always think what you want people to access outside and inside. So see, again, function hiding. We hide the function now. Here we are hiding the data. So see, I know that I don't want anyone to use calculate age outside because it's of internal things only. So it should be private for me only, for my class. No, not outside. I don't want it to be accessible outside. Simple. Okay. Getting the point, everyone? Hopefully. Okay, guys. Now then, as I mentioned, this current year, I don't want people to change it, but I want them to see it at least. So what I can do is I can create a function called as get current year. Again, guys, if you want, you can name it like ABCD WXYZ, but no. Always give good names. It's a very important programming practice to give good names to your functions. So it should be get current year. This is also called as a getter function because it helps you get something. But again, guys, not because of the name, because of what it is doing. That is why it is called as getter. You can name it anything, but always name it with get. It's much more easier to read and understand. And then just say return current year. So what is happening now is I'm not allowing anyone to access my variable directly. If you want to see, call this function. That will give you this current year, and then you can use it. So no one is accessing my variable directly. They have to go through a function. So now if people want to see it, they can simply call, let's say I want to print it. So they can call what? The current year is, what's the function, guys? We use object to call the function. Student1 dot get current year. I can call this function, and if I run it, see, the current year is 2025. Is that clear, guys? Now I can only see it. I cannot change it. So we made our property read only. You can read it, you cannot write it. So that's one really cool thing, right? That's what we call as read only. Now our property is read only from outside. No one can write it. No one can change it. They can only see it with the help of this function. Is that clear, guys? Everyone? But what if I also want them to allow change? What if I also want people to change it? Again, guys, if you do this, that means you're making your private almost illogical. But again, what if I just want them to allow to change it? So what you can do is you can also create one more function. And this is going to be changing the value of current year or setting the value. So you can simply call it, and it is not going to return anything, so void. And we can call set current year. And I can say, please pass a variable from outside, which I can use. So let's say int year, and then I can pass it in the current year. So current year equals, so whatever is coming from outside. So I have a function called as set current year. People can call it and pass their own year, right? And then that year will be settled in current year. So instead of 2025, I will use whatever they pass. So now I can go here. See, it is 30 because right now I'm using this as my current year. But now I'll call this function and change the current year with whatever I pass. So let's go. Student1 dot set current year, and I can pass, let's say current year is what do you say, 2004. So I'll see what was my age in 2004. Let's see that. Okay, and here we go. I was 9 years old. Amazing. Is that cleared, guys? Again, now you have already made private illogical because now people can change it and see it, but they cannot directly check the variable. They have to go through a function. That's the best part. So now, guys, okay, first of all, tell me, was this easy or not? Was this easy or not? Tell me that first. Was this easy or not? Tell me that. Was this easy or not? Tell me that, guys. Quickly, quickly, quickly. Easy, very easy. No, not easy. Others, what happened, buddy? Okay, but have you understood it? That's what is important. Have you understood that? Tell me that at least. So, guys, without knowing or unknowingly, you learned a really important concept of object orientation. Whenever you make your variables private, that means whenever you do data hiding, so to allow the access of that variable outside, you have to create functions, because now no one can access it directly because it's private. So what you did is you coupled or you connected this variable to these functions. So whenever you couple or connect a variable to functions directly, that is what you call as encapsulation. This is what you call as encapsulation. This, what you did here, is what you call as encapsulation. Is that clear, guys? This is what you call as encapsulation. When you make your variables private, that means when you do data hiding, and then you create setter and getter, so that people from outside or objects from outside, people can easily view it or change it. So you created methods which are directly connected to the property. Is that clear, guys? This is what you call encapsulation. When you encapsulate the variable and functions together, when they are tightly coupled, when they are using it simply. Don't worry about the meaning. Is it clear, guys? Everyone? Read it carefully. If at all it is tough, read it carefully. You'll understand, because it is nothing. It's all functions and everything. No, this is not abstraction, buddy. No, 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 man. No, it is not abstraction. Abstraction is hiding the implementation, which comes with interfaces. Is it clear, buddy? So no, this is not at all abstraction. This is encapsulation. In abstraction, you hide the implementation. Is that clear, guys? Everyone? Okay, all good. So, guys, now we know at least half of object-oriented programming. Okay, we know classes, we know objects, we know access modifiers, and we now also know what you call as encapsulation. And also we know data hiding. So we have almost 4 to 5 concepts of object orientation. Now, let's see if we get one more session, because now if I go move ahead, it will become complicated for you to take in one day if you're a beginner. So I want you guys to read and understand this, and let me ask the team if we can get one more session, then we can have other things like inheritance, like polymorphism. These are some topics which are left in terms of object orientation. So we'll talk about them as well. Okay, but that will be it for today, because for all the new people, which I know almost 90% of you are, it will become tough to grasp more in one day. But again, if we keep all that aside, have you all enjoyed this session? Have you now understood the whole idea of object and class and what object orientation is? So guys, why the programming language is called, why the paradigm or the idea is called object oriented? Because you work with objects. You're writing program with the help or with the use of objects. That is why it is called as object oriented programming, because you use objects, you utilize objects a lot. That's why object oriented. Is that clear, guys? Everyone? So please sit once, practice a little. It is very easy. And don't worry, this time we only had 3 days. In future, if we have around 4 to, I'll ask my team, I'll ask the Let's Upgrade team to at least make the session of 4 to 5 days for this Java and everything, so that we can also explore user inputs, so that we can also explore other concepts, and so that we can also make a really good project. So I'll ask them. But you guys have to attend that then, and you guys have to come with the whole audience. Then only I think they will be doing it. Then only I think they will be doing it. Okay. Only if you guys tell me that you will be there in the sessions till the last day, all 5 days, then definitely they might come with a session of 5 or 6 days. Amazing, man. Amazing, buddy. Amazing. So everyone, that will be all for today, Because if I move ahead, it will become confusing because we have already learned a lot of things. Sir, for data analysis, is Java better than Python? No. My personal opinion, no. For data analysis, Python is any day better because you write less code to do more things in Python. In Java, I'm not saying you cannot do it in Java, but I'll give more preference to Python if you want to perform data analysis, because there are better libraries, there are better implementations, and you write less code. The code looks small. So, no. Python is better for data analysis as compared to Java. Okay. You shared with 5 friends. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. So, guys, don't worry. I'll talk to the team and I'll ask if they can make it of 5 days in future, and then we can do a lot of things. No, my photo is also there, meme coder. Just search for Saurabh Gupta, Let's Upgrade. You should definitely get it. You should definitely get it. Just search for Saurabh Gupta, Let's Upgrade. You'll get it. Guys, if you want to connect to me on LinkedIn, just search for Saurabh Gupta, Let's Upgrade. You will get it. Trust me, you'll get it. And there is my photo. You'll easily get it. There is a guy standing like this. So you should definitely get it. Okay. So, and there's a black t-shirt. So you'll get it. A lot of people got it actually. I got a connection request, a lot of connection requests. So you should get it. Just search for Saurabh Gupta, Let's Upgrade. Or you can search for Saurabh Gupta, World Skills. Then also you'll get it. Okay. Can't you show it? I don't know. I think I can show you LinkedIn ID. Wait. Maybe. So you can just go with this guy. See this here, this one, this. Okay, you can see the photo, right? This one. Just search for this Saurabh Gupta. That's all. Okay. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the whole session. Thank you so much for your cooperation and being in the session. Now I'll see you in future sessions, and if this extends, then in there as well. And don't worry, I'll be coming up with a lot of sessions. Not only this, not only Java, JavaScript, React, Angular, Node, a lot of things. So stay tuned. Connect to me on LinkedIn. We'll talk. And always. And also, guys, if you're new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and once the session finishes, please comment on the video as well. It will help us a lot. So please comment on the videos, and please like the video and share it to your friends as well. Okay. So thank you so much, guys. Okay. Am I on mute? No, right? Okay. So, yep, guys, that's all. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye-bye. Good night. See you all in future sessions in the next session. Okay. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye, everyone. Good.